and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. On tonight's agenda, we have Jim Hicks and Wendy Ledger from SVAS here to talk about a couple things. And at 6:20, some old and new business, an abbreviated agenda, hopefully.
Yeah.
I guess we can start right out. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. I was trying to kill the speaker in this.
Oh,
It's all the way down to.
yeah.
So we're here for a couple of reasons. One is, as you probably know or don't know, Sean is on the board of the ambulance. And since he's gotten busy with this, he hasn't really had the time to put in down there. So I had a talk with him, I don't know, the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Sean there's 3 appointees from New Ipswich and 3 from Greenville. And one of the appointees is appointed by the town. We get the other 2. Sean is the town representative on the board.
Yep. I can't remember how many years it's been, but
Whose place did you take?
I don't even recall.
Yeah, it's jumbled up.
Yep.
Anyway, I talked to him and I said to him, I've got a very good candidate to take his place. And that is the deputy fire chief, Gary Sommerall, who is also the facilities manager for many years was for the school district. Gary's he's an EMT. So he's got a good knowledge of what we do down there. And I'm not so sure that he didn't belong there years ago.
Yeah, he was a member.
Yeah, he was a member at one point. He's kept his EMT up between the fire department and the ski patrol, so he's still very active license-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that appointee is subject to your approval.
Now, have you spoken to him? Is he interested or willing to hold the position?
Yes, he is.
No hesitation at all when it was brought up.
You know him, John.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't going to appoint somebody, voluntold him,
Yeah,
No.
well, by the way, Gary. Yeah, no, we've talked to him. He's involved with the CPR stuff too.
Yeah.
So he was in to sign some paperwork for today.
Okay.
So no, he's,
That was one of the questions I had for Jim too when we spoke. And when I was elected last year, I'd let you guys know that if it seemed like I wasn't around as much or not as active, or if they found someone that could fill that spot, just to let me know. It was kind of sad because I enjoyed serving on that board with everybody. It was one of the better functioning boards, I think, in the town. Like it was really good. It gave me a greater appreciation for the work that is done down at the bay.
generally people come in and after they've been there for a few meetings, they go, I don't believe what goes on here. I don't know how you guys do it. And, it's really, between the members and the board, it's given a lot of time that people, like, I spend a fair amount of time, I don't get a nickel out of the place. I mean, it's people that do it because they want to do it. And it's generally most of the board members, that we have. And Sean took on with the same thing, with the same attitude, and was very constructive with helping us on trying to run the place. It's been difficult for the last 2 years with COVID. We've done tremendous, what was the percentage of no transports last year?
A lot.
Almost half.
Almost half.
That's a tremendous loss of income, because we still have to pay our people to respond. And most of the time you get to the house and nobody wanted to near a hospital for any reason, because they thought they would catch the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
At the hospital, that was a big thing. So no matter what the call was, they kind of wanted us to come out and make the problem go away and them not have to go to the hospital. Which really, we treat emergency care, but we're not caregivers per se. Do you think this, we get it all the time, do you think our risk is, think my son's wrist is broke? It's like, oh, I don't have x-ray vision. The doctor, you go to the hospital, he's gonna send you to x-ray, but I mean, people, so we tried to work with the public anyway. I mean, that's just, you know, the way, it's part of the job and we do it, but the net result was you go out, you come back without doing a job, without doing transportation. We've put up money for the people to respond, especially off hours,
Mhm.
and don't have anything to bill against it. So it has been tough. Hopefully we're coming out of this. It's been a tough year and a half at this point, or 2 years.
We've had a lot more transports this year than non-transports. We're doing much better this year.
Mhm.
People are more willing to go to the hospital.
Well, I think the doctors and the hospitals kind of got the word out. You can come to the hospital. It's not going to mean you're going to be exposed to COVID. And
They're honestly probably safer there.
Right. And I kind of think that's a natural reaction.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that occurred to me. It's like, oh, I don't want to go to the hospital, but then, because I know what's going on with the hospitals, and I know it's a safe place to go for the most part.
Did you have any questions about the appointment of Gary? Okay. No.
Need to know how to spell his name?
Sounds like a fit to me. What was that?
I said, need to know how to spell his last name? Motion to nominate Gary Somro as town rep to SBAS.
Is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations,
That's all
Gary.
set.
Okay, so we will let him know that it's official.
And we will miss you on board, Sean. If you ever give up this gig and we have an opening, come back.
I'll come out and see us anytime.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
You know where we are.
yep,
you're always welcome.
thanks. So now I just wanted to touch on the MOU, since, we didn't, renew it to get this year, so since we're all in the same room, figured we'd try to hash out some of the details of that.
What is the MOU?
So it's a memorandum of understanding,
Oh.
so it's the service that they agree to provide the town.
Yep.
And, what the town expects and what we can do for them in return.
We expect X-ray vision.
That'll cost you.
So, I'll kind of give these out. This is 20.
So I think like where it kinda stalled out, Jason, was,
Does Jason have a copy of it?
I don't think so,
Mine's highlighted. I can make him a copy, but it's highlighted.
okay. There's just a difference in
Okay,
like
yeah.
information sharing,
That's this first quarter of this year.
okay,
That's all of last year, I think.
yeah. So there's like, the whole document was fine, except for just what reports we wanted from them.
John, I know you don't
That
have
was
enough to read.
unresolved.
I know.
That's unresolved, so
Jim.
we didn't, each year it comes up for renewal.
This is actually the first renewal we've had. For years and years, there was no document.
That's the expired one.
We had this one last year, and so it came up for renewal, and the basic problem was with the reporting, okay? We have no problem giving you that report there. We really don't wanna go into any more detail. And it's not that we're hiding anything, it's just we're protecting it. You know, I see Scott's not here tonight, but as Scott had said to us, anything that comes into this building is public information, except for, I guess, personnel records, which means anybody can come in and demand to see a copy of it. So, at the detail that we were looking at the reports before, if some other ambulance company wanted to come in here, they'd have our business plan. They'd know how many calls we did, what time of day we did them, how long it took us to do it. So, I mean, I just thought it really was getting down to the point of too much information, and the board agreed with it. They did not want to be releasing all that information. So,
Just to kinda give you an example of, like what we asked for, like from Tim, and get monthly.
And it got pushed to quarterly, right?
Yeah.
The first
Quarterly.
thought was to do it monthly, then we said, come on, we'll do it monthly,
We just changed.
quarterly rather, so
Mhm.
it is changed to quarterly.
So does this just get forwarded to you, or?
No, it's a review, so that was in our red folder.
Oh,
Yeah, so that would be something that would come through. And you're familiar with it, right, John? This one?
Oh, yeah, the one we
Yeah.
get from Tim?
Yeah.
So what they're saying is the reporting that they were giving us before, Jason, was more detailed. It showed like, time of call, like, you know, how long it took to respond, things like that. So there was just more detail and thing, and, which is technically all information that, is available to us through the dispatch. So that was kind of the sticking point is that if we wanted to, we could ask for the information through dispatch without anyone from SVAS giving us any clarification on it. So getting it from them made more sense to us than just going, well, we'll just get the information directly from dispatch anyway. So,
Can they do that without our permission? or
I don't
we're
know,
not
I don't know,
municipal?
you just said that, now I'm gonna have to talk to county tomorrow, I don't want county giving out information on that, and not specific, it wouldn't bother me here as much as,
I just wonder if you, where we're not a municipal department, if you are entitled to that information for the dispatch center that we pay. We don't pay for our dispatch center, we do, so are you entitled to get that information?
who pays for your dispatch center?
we do.
We do,
Who
So,
pays you?
Greenville and here.
right,
So,
That doesn't,
and insurance.
but technically, if we, you know, if it's a service we're paying for the town, you know, I'm assuming that we would have some aspect to it based on service call, you know,
Right.
that we could ask for reporting
And
on.
we've made it clear before, and I have no problem, we still keep those statistics.
Mhm.
If you had any questions at all about any of them, they're there. It's the drop every Saturday morning, I put those things in for the week.
Mhm.
So in 2 seconds, I can have your information.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all you have to do is ask if you have a question, John, you don't have to go around us.
No, and that's, I'm not saying that we would, I'm just, my point was, I would rather get that information from you with clarification, you know, cause there's times we see it and you go, what happened? It's like, oh, you know, you look at it, it's like, oh, here was a call for heart or whatever, and it's like, you know, and it was a 18-minute thing, well, yeah, cause, you know, we were on a call here, it was just ending, we were headed back to the station, then ended up back out on the other end of town again. And those are the pieces that, you know, we were, you know, that was my thing, is I'd rather be able to get the information with clarification from you so that, not saying that we're going out to bid, but if some other company comes in and says, you know, hey, you know, we'll look at your call button, like, no, well, we have all the understanding of that, why those calls were X amount of time or X amount of minutes and whatever, like, you know, so you know, my piece was, you know, one, it's the way that we can, one, review how things are going for you. Like, you know, this was a long call. What was the reason? You know, or whether we had to go out for mutual aid. You know, it's an easy one to go, oh, you know, it was on this date. Yeah, we were already on 2 calls. We had both our rigs out, and so we had to go to mutual aid. Or that was a day of the accident, you know, when the people went down the embankment, you know, it's like, oh, we had both rigs, or we had this, you know, we got some people on fire department, some people were in the EMTs, so yeah, we had to go out for mutual aid, instead of somebody coming and misrepresenting your services, so.
And to me, like, I take the kind of the opposite approach, where I believe that they operate under, you know, good faith to the town and its citizens, much the same as our police department, and we don't ask for those, like the call times, how long it took to respond to something, or any of the backup, you know, like on a regular basis. but if there was an issue that comes up, they make themselves available to us, you know, or if that type of review needs to be done or another service comes in, then we can, you know, ask for that information to make that, make those considerations then, like at that appropriate time. Like, but to me, I don't feel like it's information that we need monthly or even quarterly, like the run times.
And I'm giving you the average call times on this paper with statistics. Right now, our tone to be into the bay is 7 minutes. And that's, we've just come off of winter. Winter is, I mean, I live on Collins Road. From Collins Road to that bay in the winter is 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
at the middle of the night. I mean, I gotta pull my glasses down.
Hopefully it'll be better. We're supposed to
Oh,
we're getting that paved.
That'd be nice. I need to know that date, because I need to be able to get out if the tone
Oh, we
goes
don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see the signs.
Yeah.
Maybe. From the bay to the scene is about 5 minutes, and we're averaging about 22 minutes on scene. And like the whole call from our tone to going to the hospital or ending that call at that house is 34 minutes, which is pretty good time. We're not a city, we're not sitting in the ambulances waiting to go, so.
Jason, just to explain to you, so that you have an idea how we operate down there, we have people at the bay from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the evening, 2 people. The rest of the time, people are on call and come to the bay, nights and weekends. I mean, we had a complaint, and this goes back to George Lawrence's days, but I started pulling up contracts. It's $250,000. That was back in 17. I got a contract for an ambulance company doing that for a city, a town, a small town. It's $250,000 to do that. Somebody had moved into town and, you know, they come from a city into a rural environment and they don't understand what changes are gonna be as far as the way life goes. So, we do have people 24/7, but they're not sitting at the bay. It's just financially impossible to do.
Just like the fire department.
Well, exactly right. The other thing that happens is they change the standards all the time. I mean, they used to go out and they'd get a heart attack person, they'd throw leads on them depending upon what condition, and get the hell to the hospital as fast as they could. They don't do that anymore.
That's a cardiac arrest, not a heart attack.
I mean, now they stay there and they work that patient. They talk to med control. It's not like they're out there by themselves. This is what we've done, this is what we've got, and we've spent, as you can attest to, a lot of money on very sophisticated equipment that can evaluate a patient, and they cannot do anything at the hospital that we're not doing at the city, as far as trying to save a life with that. So there's times when we're on the scene for a long time, trying to get them back, and then sometimes we don't transport it. Med control says, don't bother doing it. The other thing is we get kids that are 17 years old, they get in a car accident, we can't release them. We have to wait on scene until a parent comes and gets them, which can sometimes be difficult, you know, if they're under 18 or 18. So there's a lot of reasons why you can have what appears to be a lot like, what the hell are they doing for 15, 20 minutes there? When the reality is, there is reason for it. And,
Yeah.
you know, and we do operate, we don't wanna be sitting around either. Our goal is to take care of this call and be ready for the next one.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, in a town like this with the kind of budgets we have, it's difficult. You know, we definitely got screwed this year,
Mhm.
But it's going very well.
Yeah.
We've already run 128 calls.
Yeah, I saw
We've
that.
had a lot of calls.
Yep.
Well, that's 121, we've had 7 more
Yeah.
since the beginning of April. But we've had a lot of, and we've only had 1 mutual aid, and that's because we had 1 ambulance down and the other 1 ambulance was on the scene right across the street from where the other call came in. Yeah, so that was the only mutual aid, and that's because we downed 1 rem.
Yeah.
So,
and as hard as we try, sometimes we have to put them in the garage.
some of us are working a lot of hours, but comes with the job.
So I'm happy with these reports.
Yeah, I'm good with these reports. I would say, you know, as long as you're willing to, if we requested them, say, even at the end of the year, just kind of get a, you know, if we wanted to see them, as long as you're willing to bring them in, you know, if requested, I'm fine, but I'm good with these reports.
And by all means, if anything, any particular thing happens, call us. When you get to the bottom of it like that and find out why. We had a woman on the other end of town who had an EMT who lived across the street, and her husband was not well, they got sick many times. Well, the EMT would be there in 2 minutes, because she was running across the street. Then EMT moved to Fitchburg, and, retired from our service, and she had a call, and wondered why it took so long for us to get there. It's like, well, she didn't live by your neighbor wasn't in the EMT unit.
Mhm.
You know?
Yep. And I think it's good too, with Gary joining the board, like that should further strengthen, the fire and ambulance service relationship. Yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's
think
just,
it's a good step in the right direction.
yeah, and,
Yeah.
just to put that out there, there was talk about the fire department and us not getting along, and that's not true. That's,
Mhm.
our relationship with the fire department could not be better.
Yes.
You know.
Good to hear.
It is, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's going extremely well with all the services.
No, we have to work with them.
Wendy, could you get me the copy of the MOU? Like
You
send
want
it
me to
over?
copy too?
Well, no,
you
like
want me
to,
to send it to you?
for us to sign and
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, if there's anything we have to, any wording we have to change so,
I
about the
did propose
reporting.
change to number 7 or 8 or whatever it is.
Is that just the one on the reporting?
Just that one on the reporting.
Does this one have the change on it?
No,
You want
I
to
just
read
typed
it?
it out before. I'll let you read it. You're the boss.
No, there's no bosses here. Then, I would like to
Just
have
tweaks a
it,
little bit.
would it be, could you guys do it monthly? Like on the first of the month?
I can't say the first of the month, by the 5th of the month,
Okay,
yes. I'm not,
Alright.
can't say the
See.
first necessarily, I'm busy.
So you want it monthly? Of
yeah, monthly.
course, you did it after I wrote it all out.
Yeah, I'm
And-
not gonna say the first, but.
Alright, and not to, can we get, cause Sean's I was trying to get you quarterly or whatever, but could you do monthly and year to date?
Bushy, huh?
So we get the monthly and then a year to date?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yep. That's a good,
That
that's
actually
what,
helps me at the end of the year anyway.
police
because then I
chief
have all
does
the
too.
figures already done.
Yeah,
Some work is over.
yeah, and I figure, it's
It's
kinda all,
easier to do it in small chunks. than
right,
it is
yeah,
in
and then
big-
it just pulls into the next form as you do it, yeah. So, yeah, if we could get monthly and then year to date, I'd appreciate that.
No problem.
I was go with quarterly, Sean's
Yeah,
being a
he's-
pest.
You
he's-
can let them read, that's.
I know, he's evidently he's
Doesn't have
got,
enough
well,
work
he's,
to do
yeah,
it,
he's
but-
got time on his hands now that he's not on the SBAS board.
Another thing to review. Cool. Oh no, yeah, sometimes like the quarterly was, cause we get this monthly from Tim, so it'd be good just to have it within the same
Oh,
time
that's not
frame.
fun.
Yep.
I do it all the time anyway.
Alright, appreciate
Starting
that.
with routine.
Alright,
Cool, so I look forward to the new copy.
So you want me to change that wording like I have on it, just put monthly
yeah,
Yeah.
monthly and year to date,
and year to date?
and, by, I would say, let's give it by the 10th of the month.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
I mean, I know it's like, I work on deadlines like that, and it's like, well, somebody else has to give me the paperwork so I can finish my paperwork, so if they're late, I'm late.
And
So,
then,
yeah.
that's part of the thing, because they have 24 hours to put in calls, but if
Right.
something, if you got 5, 6 calls, you might not get everything done by 24 hours. It's a middle line call, so.
Yep.
No, Wendy's very good with Excel, so she
Thank you for
crank out
understanding.
reports like there's no tomorrow.
Excel's my friend.
Awesome, so I put on here that you'll get us a new copy of the MOU, and we will get it signed.
Okay, sounds great.
Awesome, thank you.
All right,
Okay.
we're
All
up
right,
there.
thank you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you, Jason.
Same here.
We want to get our coverage in the law. We want our coverage in the law.
So, old and new business. Do you have anything, John?
I do.
Alright.
I briefly sent you guys an email on it yesterday. Exchange I had with a townsperson who also has connection through family to the town office. And basically explained to them, and so I just want it public here, that CDC guidelines do not So if we have someone within the town office, an employee anywhere in the town, you know, if it's an employee of the town, we are not required by any means, whether CDC, legal, anything else, to disclose to every other town employee what that person's personal health issue is, whether it be COVID or otherwise. We do contact tracing, and through contact tracing, we contact those people who may have become a risk due to exposure. Here in the town office, we have social distancing and mask mandating for our employees. So one, that puts them in a much safer environment. There's only one person who shares an office with another person. Everyone else has their own offices. So just put it out there, we are not required to tell every person who happens to step into the town office or as an employee of the town that someone else within the town employment contracted COVID.
Yep.
And if an employee has an issue or has a question, they can go to the town administrator or to the Board of Selectmen and discuss it with them. But other than that, it is you're talking, personal and personnel issues with that. So, and, as far as my discussion, as far as anything else, again, any employee that has an issue like that should be coming to us and not, it's not water cooler talk to sit there and discuss whether you agreed or disagreed with an issue. If you have an issue as an employee, come to the Board of Selectmen, and we will be more than happy to discuss the issue with an employee.
Okay. As Meredith actually reached out to me today, because the rumor mill is going.
Oh, and that's it.
Yeah.
The rumor mill's going
But I
because someone.
I let her know that the contact tracing was done and every appropriate person was contacted
And that's a piece, And I'm not trying to, but I'm not throwing Meredith under the, but Meredith's been out of town. She hasn't been in the town office.
Yeah, well, she wanted to call and check.
Right.
So that's
No,
why.
but,
yeah.
I mean-
but she did the right thing. So
Yeah, she
contacted
came to you.
me. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the whole deal. It's like, and but it's the whole deal of, it's just people thinking they are, I have privilege. I need this info. No, you don't.
Mhm.
It's none of your business. My wife works in a school system. If a teacher goes out or a kid, she doesn't know what kid it is. We don't contact every child in the entire go, oh, it was so and so. No. That's not the way it's done.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything. You don't put out that information unless it's necessary.
Mhm.
And a lot of times you don't even tell that person, unless it's hey, were you around this person? At that point you have to ask, but if
Well,
it's
even
very,
it was specific to, like, she's thinking about going like on a trip to see some of her family, and she
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that she possibly couldn't have been in contact. So it was.
no, I understand
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
that's just it. It's like, if there was any risk to somebody, they would have been informed.
Yep.
And like
And that's the answer to give anybody.
exactly.
If
Like,
you have not been informed, there
Right.
was no risk.
Right. I mean, we get calls. For example, I get, we get calls every day almost. We haven't gone a week in my school district without a COVID exposure.
Mhm.
And it says the nurses are doing contact tracing. All people that were at risk have been notified, and if quarantine is necessary, they are quarantining.
Mhm.
After that, it doesn't matter, And and they say whether there is or isn't a need to change the learning model for the time, but they don't tell you what kid it was. They don't tell you what classroom it was in. It was in this building, and what date that they were in, and that's a courtesy to the, of what's going on. But they don't tell you anything and they don't contact you, you know, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
So,
Alright,
so I just wanted to put that out there that, you know, it's, and like I said, if an employee has an issue, they should be contacting the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator and not spreading rumors and causing more issues.
okay. Jason? Any old, new business?
Yeah. We're done with this?
Yes, sir.
Alright. So last meeting, there was, I requested from Scott the scope of work that was done for the police department in the leased area. Scott emailed it to me and was looking at it Saturday and I thought, huh. You know, it seems evident to me, there's not gonna be a new police station within a year. Probably not possibly 2 years, but that's even iffy.
We'd be looking at least 3 years.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because we can't even vote until a year from now on it.
Yeah.
And then you got minimum a year plus of construction.
So with our discussion, with the chief at the last meeting, and John, you brought up, you know, if there's broken tiles or anything, we need to take care of them. So I asked my brother if he would consider heading up and coordinating a volunteer group to start working on that list that was given. And he was more than happy to. He's, like so many people in town, a life of construction, owns his own business. So he called Jeff, the landlord, and asked if
I'm sorry.
he would be okay with it.
Jason, what's your brother's name?
Jacob,
Jacob.
do you know how to spell the last name?
Yeah.
Asked if the landlord would be okay with it, and Jeff said, yeah, as long as, you know, he knows Jacob's coordinating it, or somebody that he knows, you know, he would be okay with modifications to the building. So, that is on the table.
Alright.
Now, having said that, this is an offer, and Jacob, obviously, he hasn't walked through the building with Jeff and the chief or anything of that nature. He's just looked at the scope of work and said, I think we could do a lot of this stuff. You know, there might be some items that have to still be subbed out. We're not sure, like HVAC and electrical
Yeah,
possibly would have to be subbed out. But a lot of it can be done with volunteer work, and he called around and I think he had somebody volunteering to pour the sidewalk and got the grading done for the sidewalk, and he does carpentry, so he's, you know, so there is an offer on the table if we wanna take it. It's not offering to pay for any materials.
Right.
That would come out of, I don't know, what would it be, building maintenance or?
It might, we'd have to look into it, but it might come out of building maintenance since it is, I mean, it technically is right now one of our buildings, you know, we're renting it, but it is a general government building. So I think it could come out of the general government buildings, or the, maintenance reserve
Yeah.
fund for that. But we'd have to double check that we can use that for, a rented property. So that'd be the only thing we'd have to look at. And then the only other piece, let me just write that down. Can we use, cap reserve? And then the other piece is just, obviously, the chief would have to be involved, on how we would handle that. Because normally if you have like a contractor go in, they're gonna be bonded, they're gonna be vetted, things like that, if they're gonna be in the building, certain parts.
yeah,
So we would have to check with the chief on what steps we would have to take, specifically for the indoor pieces of that, you know, moving the sinks, things like that, so.
Yeah, and like I said, this is an offer that's on the table, it's not,
No, I think it's a great offer, and I think it's definitely, cause obviously, labor costs you way more than materials normally, unless you're buying plywood right now. Um,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and after I talked with Jacob, he texted me back and just wanna make sure that, you understand that I'm not saying, I'm starting Monday.
Right, yeah.
He wants to meet with the chief and
Right.
meet with Jeff and obviously is waiting to see what we say
Yeah,
regarding the whole thing.
and that would be one of my, like, just, not really concerned, but just making sure there's some type of timeline, even though it is volunteer,
Mhm.
like, understanding that once it's started,
or at least a project.
yeah, like
You know,
each piece.
Yeah,
Yep.
like don't dig out the spot and frame it and then just leave a dirt hole there until, just
Yeah.
leave a tripping hazard until, so plus if we're, like you said, if we're gonna be paying for the material, okay, we're gonna order concrete delivered on this day,
Yeah,
where's my guy,
Yeah,
so.
I would have
well, I'm sure.
no concerns with that.
Right, but I mean,
It would wanna be put off his plate as soon as possible, and I think
Yeah.
with all the volunteers, they would just, hey, let's get this done. We got a summer of fishing ahead of us.
right,
You know what I mean?
so.
But sometimes things don't work that way, but
Yeah, so I think those first two pieces, can we use the, cap reserve for that? Just like we would, for another repair, and then just speak with the chief about how to, deal with the people portion of, getting, like when they're in the building for those. And like I said, it'd be only certain times, so it's a matter of, how would he like that handled?
yeah. And most likely, because it's a volunteer group, it would be one piece.
Right.
Alright, we're gonna redo the locker room floor.
Right,
So, however that works out, and then get that done.
yeah,
Okay.
I would assume it would go that way.
So do you think it's fair to put it, like, so we could do like some of the legwork and then review it like April 27th?
yeah, so, you wanna touch base with the chief?
Yeah.
And then I'll look into the,
In fact,
capital reserve piece.
Okay, perfect. Did you have anything else, Jay?
Jason, I do wanna thank you for doing that.
Oh,
I just think that's great that you asked for it and took it, just thought about it. Cause it's one of the things, just so you know, when all the discussion came around as far as the actual, police station, that was stuff that several of the guys brought up. And the piece we have where we told them, I said, well, that's great, if you're not busy, but, so like, oh, we'll, you buy, we'll volunteer. I'm like, we'll donate X amount of time to the town to do this. It's a tax breakout. I'm like, well, that's great until all of a sudden you get a paying gig, for a big piece.
Yeah.
And now the volunteer work you're doing is getting pushed off because you guys are busy doing paying gigs. And so I think the town is extremely appreciative and does not turn away volunteerism. I think we love volunteerism. I think our town thrives on volunteerism.
Yeah.
So I wanted to thank you for doing that and having some people that are willing to do it, because those are things that we love. I mean, that's not only that, but no one's gonna, if they know that my dad or my uncle or whatever worked on that or did that, then the next generation respects it. They want to take care of it. They want to, help, and it shows. Hey, well, my grandfather did this, so I want to do this, or my uncle or my dad. It helps foster the next generation. Helps foster town pride.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's awesome. I want to thank you for doing that, and hopefully it'll.
my hope is you'll be sitting here and thanking Jacob for coordinating, because I made it, and when we talked, if you're doing something like this, you need one point man.
Yeah, exactly.
To coordinate, and he understands.
So,
It
but
was pretty awesome just how,
So,
like, yeah, you jumped into action too with it, you know, like.
that's
you
enough of
did it.
that already.
No, it's good. No, it was
all
good.
right. You're welcome, guys, that's enough.
I was gonna
Okay.
reserve my thanks till the end, but no,
That's
it
okay.
was like, I was delighted, cause it was the exact spirit of, you know, like, how I'd hope you'd join the board.
I think people know that I have, advocated low tax rates,
Yeah,
and I even said that to my brother. You know, we gotta put our money where our mouth is. You want low tax rates?
yeah, yeah. Put a little,
Yeah, put a little
skin in the
effort in.
game.
Yeah,
And he agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think
Cool.
most people who want low tax rates understand that
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah, and just one thing, I was able to go on a little ride around with Peter on Friday, to check out some roads, and different things that we had been discussing. And he asked if it would be okay for his guys to start the summer schedule, the 4 10-hour days at the beginning of May, rather than at the end of May, since we have all this nice weather now.
yeah, because normally we give them. Normally it's June through. I think it's normal Memorial Day through Labor Day is what we normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So Memorial Day being a Monday. So.
Is there any possible issues with having that go into effect a few weeks sooner, or
Not really. I mean, it's.
because he feels like they can get more done with the longer days now?
I don't have a problem with it. So, yeah, I'm fine with. So basically, they would start their 4-day week on May 3rd. And they would work their last 4-day week, ending September 2nd.
So that, like September 2nd, would that have been the end of it typically?
Well, it
Anyways.
normally goes through Labor Day, and Labor Day is
Yeah.
the 6th. So, I mean, technically, that's going to be, I can't remember what the holiday
Yeah,
schedule
but it's
is.
just the beginnings
Yeah.
of the months. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So that would be, yeah, so it would go through. But yeah, I'm fine with that. Motion to allow the DPW to start 4-day weeks, starting on May 3rd and ending the week of Labor Day.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just the one thing so they understand, when you let them know,
Yeah,
with that being a holiday, we don't pay a 10-hour holiday, we pay an 8-hour holiday.
yeah, okay.
I think that came into question last year.
So we want to make sure it's in our
Yeah.
minutes too. Is there a motion to adjourn?
1 second.
All in favor?
Holiday pay.
Did you say 1
I
second?
said, give me 1 second.
Oh.
Holiday pay.
I was gonna say aye.
There's an 8-hour
John's like, what are they, steamrolling me?
day. No,
We didn't change anything.
motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.